This is Progress Culture.
Progress Culture is a weekly happening where master drummer Paul F. Murphy and I share live improvised music and conversation with people from a variety of fields and expertises about the significance of human creativity in the advancement of ideas, culture, community, freedom, and progress for all. We're excited to have you here, so let's get into the show. But first, let's hear some music.
Everybody, Dominic Fragman and Paul Murphy from Sonic Spirits, which includes Jere Carroll Murphy. We are here for this week's episode of Progress Culture with the most exciting man in the room, Tommy Luganbill.
All right.
Good to see you. We're excited to be here in this, our 76th episode of Progress Culture. It is the first time that I forgot to bring host clothes.
Me too.
These are
I forgot to bring my good outfit as well.
these are my roadie clothes.
Same.
But,
Yeah.
Anyway, we were having a conversation earlier about creation and destruction. And I guess the question at hand is...
Which is easier?
Is it easier to create something than it is to destroy it? Or the way that it was framed when we said it, I guess, was, is it easier to destroy than it is to create?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
All right, thanks, everybody. See you later. It's a good, always enlightening here on Project.
Maybe the question is why?
Yeah, why do you feel that way?
Okay, why do I feel that way? The simple answer is just observation. So I was talking about something that happens in nature, which is the creation of a star versus the death of a star. I'm sure a physicist or an astronomer out there is going to say, well, it takes billions of years to destroy a star. But for purposes of simplicity, a star, supernova, blows up, and it happens in a flash. Mm-hmm. Okay? But it's going to take billions and billions of years for all those gases and energy to come together to turn that star on. And the creation of that star is going to take billions of years. But when there's a supernova, it just hits. And I guess there's a place to make a comment that as soon as something starts, isn't it already in the process of being destroyed?
Well, sure.
There's a case to be made for that.
As soon as you're living, you're dying.
There's a case to be made for that. But I think the point, and again, this goes to observation, is look at nature. It takes a tree decades to become tall and have fruit or berries and nuts and things like that. And all it takes is a strike of lightning to kill it. And so nature, by observation, I believe that destroying is easier than creation. So, yeah, that's my simplified answer.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Paul?
But the tree doesn't leave.
Yeah.
I mean, to us, it looks as if it's destroyed. But actually, in nature, it's still there. It may not look like it did. It may not function like it was. But it is still in existence for a period of time. And then it gets absorbed, I would imagine, into the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Which eventually could get destroyed as well. Like the star.
Yeah, but I don't know why my brain is going here, but in terms of like creation, destruction, I don't know if this is really destruction, but let's just take the profession of a critic, right?
Yes.
A critic of music, a critic of film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just say critic is destruction in this point. Okay, so some director, writer, producer, blah, 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 money, millions, film studio, they have to all come together to create this movie. And it's going to take time and resources and all this effort to make this thing. And then all it takes is one critic to just dump on it.
Yep.
And that's it. And like all of a sudden there's this cascading effect, and all of a sudden all the other critics are lazy and they're like, I don't really want to have to think. So I'm just going to say whatever this person just said. And it's just like, doop, that's it. I just
Dominic and I were talking about that the
critics?
other day. Yeah. Because it was funny because Cecil Taylor and or myself,
Yeah.
if we didn't like something that a critic wrote, we'd both be talking to many people, but like myself and Cecil as well, to Jimmy Lyons.
Right.
And Jimmy had looked at us and go like, man, you always get upset about what a critic says. What instrument did this critic play? And then you know, you'd have to laugh because it was true.
Yeah, and it's like,
You know, I mean, hey.
you know, and there's like a place for, I hate this, but like constructive criticism. I think there's a place for that.
Yes.
But I feel like you should only be giving constructive criticism if you've ever actually tried to do what it is you're criticizing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I'm not saying that you could get constructive criticism from a musician who isn't world famous.
Right.
But they have at least tried and spent time to learn the drums versus just some random critic who's like, you know, I was born into some family and now I'm just a music critic. I mean, that's the person you're just like, don't listen to this. This is crap. But
I think because I didn't like speaking to you at the bar or the club or the concert.
But it's easier.
I'm going to write this.
It's easier. So in terms of like as far as critics are concerned, in terms of their destruction, it is just way easier to say this is bad,
right?
Because you don't have to prove why.
Right.
You just say it's bad,
which is actually quite destructive. I mean, I know we're just talking about music here, but it goes way beyond this, and I mean that happens to be where we know. But I mean, people like Thelonious Monk and Coltrane and stuff like that, the advancements that they were making in music have been severely, and I really mean severely, criticized. Now, it's 50, 60 years later, and people like Monk. But like take John Coltrane, for example. Here's an individual who came up through the sort of progression of what was expected of a good professional musician. And he came through those avenues and playing modes and then developed something different. But if you look at something like the Ken Burns jazz documentary or the way that people write or talk about Coltrane's work, it almost ends 10 years before his career, before his death, because they didn't care for the music that he developed as his own ideas developed. And they wanted it to be sort of the other way. And it not only maybe was detrimental to Coltrane and his ability to earn and play gigs doing the music he believed in, but it has also been detrimental to the history and the telling of the history, and as well as the development then of the music itself. Because people say, oh, well, this stuff here that we understand and we like, that's the real stuff. So we'll keep going from that pattern as opposed to extrapolating from the new pattern and finding new possibilities.
So let's take it home to where we're sitting right here, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say we cared about how many YouTube views we got. All right.
Right.
All right. So you get in your car with Paul. You drive 45 minutes to an hour and a half here in Rockville. Alex drives here. We take an hour to set up. We put up all the lights, put up all the instruments. We get the professional film studio ready. We put it on the internet. Right. We create a 45 minute to 1 hour long video that goes on YouTube. And then let's just say one of the first 5 people who sees it hits the down like button. Because that's how it works. It's it's like, what are the first initial reactions? So for whatever reason, one of the first 5 people goes, meh, the whole thing starts to go.
Yeah, I think this is actually...
But why is that, Tommy? Why is that first hit? What's that doing? I mean, is that...
There's some sort of software
Is that an algorithm?
Yeah,
or?
some sort of software has decided that within the first, it's like the first minute.
5 seconds.
It's something ridiculous. It's like the first 60 seconds.
Yeah.
What are people's initial reactions? And that can have a lasting effect on the amount of people that see something. Uh-huh. So for a long time, I could never understand. I put a lot of crap on the internet. Sometimes it's actually interesting, and sometimes it's crap. And sometimes I put crap online, and all of a sudden it's got like thousands of people that have seen it. I'm like, this is weird. But really, all it could have been is just a friend of mine happened to be looking at their phone and goes, "Tommy posted something, like it," and then now everybody sees it. Or let's say someone doesn't like me. We put on a Progress Culture video at the internet, and within 30 seconds, they downvote it. Mm-hmm. The computer algorithm just says, don't show this to anybody. And that's so much, so that is so much easier for someone to sit at their phone or their computer, destroy, versus the 3, 4, 5 hours it takes to make one episode.
5
Right,
hours.
to create.
5 hours here.
5 hours here.
Yeah.
But that's why destruction is, again, to answer your question, why? I'm just looking at observations of that to be true.
I had said something like, no, you know what? You told me that there was an organization that was raising money, and while they were raising money, somebody burned down their house. And I said, man,
Yeah.
I think more people should have to build stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean construction-wise. I think they should have to build stuff so they know, maybe knowing and realizing how much effort and passion goes into building a thing, an idea, a business, and a building, they'd be less likely just to rip it up and tear it down or knock it for whatever reason.
Yeah. For anything. I mean, I think that applies to anything.
But it certainly is much harder. And this is something, too, that I think about often in terms of the way that the convenience of modern society.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it plenty on here, and I'm not trying to be a negative person, but all this convenience, man, it's like we don't know what goes into sewing our own clothes or growing our own food. A lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of people that do those things as well, but is there something about engaging in the act of more conscious and intentional acquisition, and not just getting it delivered to you by Amazon in a day?
So I think this makes sense. But so I was at a bus stop. I won't say where. I was at a bus stop for a public school, right? And it's for elementary school kids. And the bus shows up every day, takes the kids to school, brings them home. Public education, free schooling, free transportation. And a couple weeks ago, I happened to be walking by, and I was listening to the parents all. Can you believe this? This is so annoying. Did you get the note? Yeah, I got the note. Oh, that's such a pain. That's such a pain. Yeah, I know. And then I finally come to realize the thing that they're all complaining about is the bus is no longer showing up at 8:30. It's now showing up at 8:10. Okay?
Right.
So a free bus to go to a free school in a nice neighborhood is no longer showing up at 8:30. It's now showing up 20 minutes early. And this somehow inconvenienced all these people who had children.
Right.
Which goes to the theme of what you're saying, which is that I think things have almost become so easy that people don't go, oh, my kid gets a free ride to school, to a free school. Doesn't have to worry about, a bomb blowing up the school, in theory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are going to get a good education and go on and live a normal life. I think to your point, Dominic, everything is so instant. Like we want, and then we always get it.
Yeah. What do you think about this idea as we sort of pick at it and extend this into education? Is it sort of a similar situation where you feel like, hey man, it's easier to just show up at the free school with the free transportation and learn the free stuff they're teaching you? Or would it actually be more beneficial to construct your own curriculum and determine the value of things that are actually a good education? Now,
Yeah, but then that doesn't become accepted
what if
in the working end of things.
Can you just decide that? Do you think you would be able to function well enough if you just decided that the things that are accepted aren't necessarily the things that you believe are valuable and therefore will engage in?
I think you can pick and choose. But like, if I'm being completely honest with you, if you just completely if you just wrote off everything, I think your life would be pretty hard.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I still feel like a standardized education and testing and things like that. And these are like,
yeah, but that's that's the same argument for what we're talking about, which is it's convenience. So if you're an employer and you're looking to hire somebody, and you're like, I don't have any damn time to go through this, and you're like, one person went to a school that I know, and one person was taught on their own curriculum that was tailor-made to be actually valuable. Then you have to spend the time to figure out, do you agree that their curriculum was valuable versus just...
What's funny is, though, is like, honestly, like, if you were the business owner,
Yeah.
and you had a bunch of candidates in front of you, and the thing that was sort of the deciding factor was like their education, I feel like I would be more attracted to the person who took their own initiative, and to know that they would be somebody who would be motivated and then also probably smart enough to handle whatever I wanted them to.
But I think that in nowadays, you would be in a very low percentile of people in a position to actually do that type of choice.
Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with legal liabilities too? Is that hampering those sort of situations?
Probably. I mean, to a certain extent. I don't know if hiring is necessarily the right analogy for that, but maybe in like the medical world, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I guess there's,
You gonna hire a doctor from Harvard or the one that came up with his own or her own curriculum?
Right.
They could be a better doctor, right? Like they could be from like the Sahara, and they've been like
Right.
treating people for lion bites and crap like that, and they could be the best doctor in the world, but who are you gonna hire to run your hospital? The Harvard graduate or the Saharan desert doctor? Probably the one from Harvard, because you don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that situation, I think the answer is yes.
yeah.
But it sucks. I mean, that's not a fun reality. But destroying, I think, is just without a doubt easier. Might not make you feel better, but it's easier.
I gotta say, the amount of it that I see, especially in terms of the criticizing and things like that, which when we initially were talking about this, I didn't expect it to go to this avenue. But as far as the criticizing, it must be easier. And it must be not only must be easier, but what did you just say that it made you might not feel as good about it? People must feel good about it because they're doing it. Like they're getting real good at it too.
Maybe, but like, I don't know if this is true, but okay, so say you were to like ask me, okay, what's your favorite movie? And I'd say, I don't know, Forrest Gump. And you were to say, well, why? And then I'd actually have to be like, well, because of the undertone, and I had to go into a long explanation.
Right.
Versus you to say, what's your least favorite movie? And I could just say, Forrest Gump, and then you'd be why, and you say why? I'd say, it sucks.
Right.
That's
and
it.
that's acceptable.
That's
explanation.
acceptable. That's an acceptable explanation.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I'm really gonna start paying attention to this now, because I think you might be right, but I just, without having been intentional about it, I'm gonna start observing what people their answers and what's acceptable as an answer of approval or disapproval.
Disapproval, as far as like I've seen, disapproval explanations are short, don't have to make much sense, and they're uncomfortable. So if we're having if I never met you and I meet you at a party and I say, oh, I hate this, and then you say why, and I go because of this, you're not gonna ask any more questions why. But if I told you I love something, you're gonna go, oh, tell me why you love it. I'm gonna have to justify why I stand where I stand.
Yeah.
Right, and that's going on with the heat sanitizer, which was built a year and a half ago or longer,
Yeah.
and is still
Yes.
going down the path of, yeah,
He's right.
and everybody's approved it. Everybody says it works, but oh my, the patent hasn't been slammed out there, or whatever else you need hasn't been given, or, we think that it can only clean a mask 5 times,
Yeah.
when that's not what was said by the people that invented the mask.
He's right. He's right.
I mean,
How much easier is it to say, nah, you can't use it. You can't use it more than 5 times. Why? Because we said so.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, you could actually use this 100 times. Prove it. Tell me why.
That's going to scare people.
But that's just
Yeah.
way back to the criticism and the destruction point. Criticism
Yeah.
and destruction being the same thing in this conversation.
I want to go back for just a second to the algorithm stuff you were talking about too.
Yeah.
And why this is, I believe, is destructive and detrimental to new ideas, because of what we just talked about with this process of how something gains traction.
Right.
And gets views or gets whatever positions where there can be awareness generated. These things are not promoting the new and different stuff.
No.
They're promoting popular things, which, hey, man, right on. If you had the ability to get popular, that's great. But clearly, it's been demonstrated over and over again through history that the new ideas, which often turn out to be big, huge, beneficial ideas, have no traction for a long time before they get anywhere. And with a process that's just continuing to vote down all of those types of things, I gotta think that's really destructive.
So I think it was the EU. I think the EU Parliament, there's different types of parties, but let's just say the liberal side and the conservative side. They in 2018, they actually came together and sent kind of like a formal letter to some of the social media networks that stated, please stop encouraging or allowing your algorithm to generate so much anger, because both of our parties are now having to change the way we operate to tailor to your algorithm. Meaning the politicians are and were aware of the fact that making people mad and making people angry was actually making people more invigorated, which meant as a politician, they had to then start acting like the algorithm. So their human behavior was being tailored to act more like the computer was, because it said, well, the angrier you make people, the more people will look at you.
I have to ask, like, is there a positive side to that? It must, in the concept, I feel like, man, there must be, right? Because it's been, again, demonstrated throughout history that, maybe this new technology offers a glimpse of possibility that then humans are able to adapt and use in their own bodies and minds and practices. And then that makes me ask, is this process that looks pretty ugly of basically getting humans to align their actions and thinking like a computer. Is that, you think, I mean, is that a good thing? You think that actually is a necessary part of something because it's happening?
Yes, but aren't the humans in control actually generating this algorithm that's making the action take place?
Yeah.
It's not the computer generating it.
I think he's hitting on something, which is somewhere along the line there are humans who could decide.
That's not how we're going to do it.
Correct.
I guess it's sort of like somewhere along the lines there's humans that could decide not to run smear campaigns for every presidential election.
That's also correct.
Right.
There are humans that at the end of the day, for now, have to be the ones that either allow or disallow things to happen. And we can blame the algorithms all we want.
Yeah.
But there's probably enough smart people that run these places that are like, yeah, we know this is hurting people. All we have to do is change this line of code and it all goes away.
Does that go back to the idea that we have been talking about, whether to create or to destroy, but also to create or to build or not to build, right? Because if you're building, if you had to build your own thing, would you decide to build and contribute to the thing that does the smear campaigns, or would you decide to build something that's not that, because you're not getting a paycheck from that building of the smear thing, which you're not even really building, you're just you're participating in it.
Interact.
I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty general statement.
I mean, you can call me naive, but like, I'll pick on Facebook and Zuckerberg. I don't know if I believe Mark Zuckerberg is like truly this malicious, maleficent, I don't know if that's the right word.
It sounds nice.
Person. Like, I don't know if he's like truly wakes up in the morning like, I want to destroy third world countries.
I don't think he does.
I think he built something that he has no clue what to do with. And people accept, no, he knows what he's doing. He's got billions of dollars. But if you're talking, okay, this dude was literally just a random 19-year-old kid who happened to be a little smart. He's pretty smart, a little weird. And he comes up with this thing that probably was inevitable. Someone was going to come up with it. He happens to be the one that does it. And now all of a sudden he's talking about like starting wars and insurrections, and he has no basis for any of this. But I can guarantee you this, there are people around him that do know how to help, and they're just choosing not to. It's not just this one guy.
No.
There are people who could change this.
Yeah, right.
But they're choosing not to.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have got in control of that without him even realizing that was happening.
For sure. Here's $50 billion, now just be quiet.
Right.
I mean, there must have been. I'd be interested to have a conversation with him when he made Facebook to see if he had any ideas of the product development and what they would become. As if you I remember when it was launched. I mean, I didn't really use it, but I remember
rating girls. He was rating hotness.
That's what I'm saying, though. Is like he probably didn't have any clue that it would have this kind of impact in the world.
No.
Right.
Which is why I say, do I think he can make better choices? Absolutely. Yeah. But I don't think he realizes just how much he is being manipulated.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think Zuckerberg realizes there are people wealthier than him, businesses wealthier than he is, that have him exactly where they want him, and he's got so much pride, and he's got this idea of how smart he is, that he's unwilling to see, like, dude, you are being suckered big time.
Man. Well, as you pointed out today, and I hate to sort of embrace what's causing somebody lots of problems, but something's going on with Facebook and Zuckerberg and Instagram and all that, where they're not working today. And I mean, I gotta say, I feel like that's one step closer to the fade, to the fad phasing out. Man, I hope it goes away. I mean, I don't. like I said, I don't wish any ill will on Zuckerberg or anything, but
So let's not wish destruction.
I don't want to.
No.
But how about this? How about the creation or adaptation of a better version?
Yes.
Okay, a version that will
that's what we
take
need.
a version that will take work to create.
Yeah.
To just wish it away is an easy way out because Dominic, humans and computers will find another way to do it.
Right.
True.
It won't have to be Facebook, but let's wish we change it and make it better.
All right. I just wish everybody would move back closer to each other and hang out in real life and
I agree.
video calls all around the place.
I know.
Business across the world were at the sort of expense and displacement of local entities that could supply the same value and services. Anyway, whatever. That's a different episode, and we're about wrapped up anyway, so we may as well. That's it, really. Focus. I fell into the trap that we talk about trying to avoid, which is don't destroy, create. And if you have and are creating something or have interesting and new ideas about anything in any field, share them with each other. Share them with us. Let's get them talking about them. Let's put some life and animate these things so that we can generate positive progress in whatever it is, in society and ideas and art and thinking. And get in touch. www.progressculture.org, www.sonic-spirits.com, and somdlovesyou.org for our sponsors. And we will be here next week. I hope to not be wearing roadie clothes, but whatever. I feel comfortable. All right. Hey, Tommy, what'd you think of the music today?
I was digging it.
Yeah.
It was good vibes. I went into a trance watching Paul at one moment. It was nice.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That happens.
Sorry, Dominic.
No. I've been watching him for 14 years, and
Yeah.
it still happens to me. So.
That was good.
He took a drum solo after you left, and Alex and I.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll be here next week.
Thank
See you
you.
next time. Take care. Thank you all for being with us. We appreciate your time and consideration. And, as always, please feel free to reach out to us at progressculture.org and sonic-spirits.com. We are building a community that supports positivity and progress for all, and in all fields. If you have any ideas about how to do that, please share them with us, share them with each other, and we can make it happen. Thanks for watching and listening. We hope to see you on the next one. Much love.